All right, folks, and welcome back to another episode of our venture in the visual novel If My Heart Had Wings. Last episode, we spent some time with Agaha staring at the sky, checking out the constellations and whatnot. So that was pretty fun. Well, except the fact that we startled her half to death, to which she totally freaked out. Surprised that scream didn't wake up anyone else in the house, for crying out loud. But anyways, it was a cool time for them to get some alone time as childhood friends. So with that, we're going to pick up where we left off in the last section, in which kind of goes hungry. Yeah, but she's always hungry, as we know. But anyways, Amane, if you will do the honors in getting the next scene back up again. Yep, that's the one. Let's do this. We know, Kanako. We know. Are they at the convenience store or something? Probably not. I think that means yes. Uh-huh. How about that? I don't think that really sounds like water, but okay. Is it the clouds of glory? Could this be it? The direction is... The eastern sky was bluish purple. We were tidying up after finishing flight training for the day, but we stopped working to gaze at the eastern sky. This was the moment we'd been waiting for, but we were careful not to get our hopes up yet. We don't know, but until now, it hasn't been that color.
さあ、どうだろう。注意して見てたことないもん。気温は25度。昨日より3度低いわ。湿度はやや高め。風も出てきてる。これはもしかするかも。
Everyone cross your fingers. We all look towards Amane. Amane looks to the eastern sky. She was just standing there quietly. While looking at the signs that indicated the phenomenon could occur, she seemed to be assessing the situation. Or maybe she was praying. It might occur tomorrow morning. There are 2 days left of the summer holidays. This was the time limit for Amane's activities with the Soaring Club.
先輩。わかってる。大丈夫だ。
I gave Kotori a prod, and spoke quietly to her. The second in charge should take care of the occasions like this.
そうだった。おほん。みんな聞いて。モーニンググローリーは明日の朝必ず現れる。そう信じましょう。だから今夜は当番関係なく全員夜明け前に起きてフライトの準備をするわよ。ああ。
I hope this is it. It's 4 a.m. Don't make too much noise. Kanako is still sleeping.
了解。了解。ああごめん。
We got up at the usual time for people whose turn it is to watch the dawn sky, and carried our things outside the dormitory. There is still 1 hour before the morning sun rises. We have to complete our launch preparations before then.
ずいぶんと冷えるわね。薄着だとちょっと肌寒いくらいね。
I want to put on a jacket. Amane, will you be alright in those clothes?
うん、大丈夫だ。ビシッとしてよね、あまねちゃん。これから雲の上まで飛ぶんだから。
Kotori, you're speaking really loudly. Aga, how's the sky?
よくわかんない。
The sky was covered in darkness, and it wasn't possible to see with the naked eye whether or not there were any clouds. Anyway, let's hurry. If we hang out for too long, we won't make it in time for dawn. We reached the runway and immediately began work on the assembly. Right aileron.
オッケー。
Left aileron.
問題なし。
Next is the elevator. While this is going on, I ate a rice ball that I had made the night before. I have to do something about my empty stomach.
あまねちゃん、さっきからどうしちゃったの？すまない。別に何でもないんだ。大丈夫よ。きっとうまくいくから。はい、おにぎり食べて元気出して。ありがとう。葵、いけそう？
I don't know. In the training, I finally figured out how to catch the thermals. The highest we've flown in training has been 600 meters. We won't be able to reach the morning glory at altitudes like that. Suddenly, a strong wind blows.
葵くん、だいぶブレーキを出してくれ。
Got it. When the glider is on the ground, lift will be created if wind hits the main wings. With winds this strong, if we're careless, the aircraft might start floating upwards. That's why we make use of the equipment used to reduce lift during landing. If the lift is at a low level, it will be okay, even if the wind hits it.
急に風が出てきたわね。モーニンググローリーの影響かしら。
It's said in the book that when this occurred in Burketown, Australia, raging winds were blowing beneath the clouds. We'll need to use a crosswind launch. Of course, when strong winds blow from the side of the glider will be blown with them. So we need to use a special technique for takeoff. We haven't practiced it much, but we should be okay.
見て、夜が明けてきた。
Is it? The eastern sky became dimly bright. Also, the conditions of the sky became clear.
あそこにある雲。
Dawn hadn't broken yet, and the sky was still gloomy, but we could see the outline of the clouds. These clouds could be called morning glory and were fine and delicate and looked like they could disappear any minute.
小鳥、発行準備。ラジャー。
Everyone quickly got into position. Amani and I got into our seats in the cockpit.
Yoko 風が強いぞ、葵くん。
Okay, I'll use full rudder from the start. I push down on the rudder pedal even though we're not moving yet. If we are hit with a crosswind during takeoff, the glider's nose will face into the wind. This is called a weather vane effect. By turning the rudder in the opposite direction, we can reduce the weather vane effect. However, because the rudder has almost no effect until we pick up speed, we need to push the rudder pedal before launch and gradually release it as we accelerate. This is the first time we've taken off in such strong winds. This kind of feels like a rehearsal, but we have to do it.
Runway is clear!
Aga came to let us know that there were no obstructions on the runway. Then, moving round to the side of the glider, she lifts up the left wing, a little higher than usual. The wind is blowing from the front right direction. If the wings are horizontal during takeoff, the wind from the side will go under the right wing, messing up the balance. That's why we need to launch with the right wing a little lower to stop the crosswind from going under it. To maintain the bank angle at which Aga is tilting it, I move the yoke to the right to operate the right aileron. Launch preparations complete. Here we go, Amane. Amane replied nervously. I give the thumbs up to signal to Aga outside.
発行準備完了。小鳥、上げて。
The moment Aga gave the signal, the winch started moving as if it couldn't wait. The glider steadily accelerates. I pull back on the yoke.
頼んだわよ、葵。
Leaving behind Agaha, who was holding up the right wing, and running with us, the glider floated into the air. The glider wobbled like crazy when the crosswind hits it.
大丈夫？葵くん、あまねちゃん。
We're okay. We've leveled out.
なんとか無事だ。ラジャー。
As we accelerate, the ailerons start working, and we were able to maintain the bank according to the crosswind. Tilting the rudder in the direction of the incoming wind, the glider steadily rises into the sky. Our airspeed is really fast. We're climbing much more quickly than usual. Even if it looks like we're flying at the same speed, if the headwind is strong, the speed of the wind hitting the glider, in other words, the airspeed is different. When the airspeed is high, lift increases, which causes the aircraft to rise. Today the wind is strong. The power of the winch pulling us fights against the power of the main wings lifting us up, causing the glider to shake. Releasing! Just before passing over Kotori's head, who is operating the winch, I release the tow rope. Freed from the force that was holding us down, the glider was suddenly thrown up into the air. I immediately turn around to check that the tow rope has been released.
離脱確認。離陸は成功だ。
Okay. I checked the altitude on the altimeter. We are currently 300 meters above ground. Then I looked up to the sky above. Outside the dome-shaped canopy, all I could see was the sky. A sky changing from night to morning. Indigo, orange, and pale yellow. The morning sun paints a complex gradient as far as the eye can see. And there, in the middle, a straight line of clouds stretched out. Amazing. I felt like I was being sucked into it as I started as this spectacle.
何かしら。あ、ほんとだ。なんだろう。不思議な雲だね。まるで誰かが筆で描いたみたい。だとしたら達筆ではないわね。そんなことないよ。すごく綺麗だと思うな。お上手。相変わらず何でも褒めるわね。ねえ姉さん、あれ。何か飛んでる？あれ、もしかして。この前ここで見たくらいだ。何してるのかしら、こんな朝早くから。飛んでるじゃないかな。それは見ればわかるわよ。そうじゃなくて。じゃあ、あそこ行こうとしてるんじゃないかな。あそこ？ほら、あの雲のところ。すごく綺麗。不思議ね。どうしてあんなものができるのかしら。ほんと、奇跡みたい。でも、あの写真のとはちょっと違わない？これからもっと大きくなるのかしら。さあ、葵くんたちは今どこ？ちょっと待って、双眼鏡で見てみる。あ、いた。どこ？ほら、湖の上、今キラって光った。
Whoa! Clutching the yoke, I somehow managed to maintain our position. The airflow is getting really rough. It's taking everything I've got just to keep our position. On days where the airflow is stable, I only need to hold on to the yoke lightly. However, in these rough skies, the glider is shaking all the time, and we don't know when it'll be hit with sudden winds. I need all my concentration as the glider takes the wind.
大丈夫か、葵くん。
I'm fine. More importantly, can you search for some thermals, Amane?
わかった。
Amane looks outside the canopy to search for places where thermals may occur. Clouds are the markers used for finding thermals. Clouds are formed when the warm upward drafts are cooled in the sky. Therefore, thermals are usually below them. As I watch the barometer, I fly based on guesswork. The barometer is one of the instruments in the glider that tells us whether it is rising or descending based on atmospheric pressure. If there is a sudden change in the barometer, it's possible that we've entered a thermal without realizing. There's no reaction, huh? The reaction from the barometer was slow, and the glider was gradually descending.
あった、雲だ。
Amane called from the front seat. Where?
予知の方角。
Roger. I pull the yoke to the right and push the rudder pedals, and the glider turns. Oh, the rudder feels heavy. When the ailerons or the rudder take strong winds, they become heavier. But that means that their effect is stronger. Is that it? In my field of vision, I can see the small cloud Amane had found. It was small, fine, elongated cloud. Please let this work. I feel like I'm praying as I fly under the cloud. We continue for a while, and we don't seem to be hitting any thermals. After all, we can't see them, so we don't really know if they are there or not. Where is it? I go to turn so that we can head towards another area. Then... Whoa! Suddenly the left wing lifts up, tilting the aircraft.
葵君、今の。
Yes, I know. This wasn't the feeling of being shaken by a crosswind. A rising thermal grazed the wings. I quickly turn the rudder to the left. The barometer reacts. The glider was rising. We've entered a thermal. As we confirm that, I continue to turn the glider. Thermals extend upwards through the atmosphere like a pillar. In most cases, the strongest lift is in the center, known as the core. Normally, it gradually gets weaker the further you go towards the outside. That's why, if you want to climb higher, you have to get as close to the core of the thermals as possible. I turn the glider to search for the core. The barometer tells us that we're rising. We're getting closer and closer to the core.
コアに入ったみたいだ。
Said Amani as she looked at the instruments. I try to keep the glider circling in the same area, an attempt to rise in the core of the thermal. All right, we're climbing. Through the seat, I felt that the glider was rising. It's jokingly called the butt meter, but you can feel all sorts of G-forces through the seat. And is one of the sensations that are important for piloting a glider. That's because the thing that informs of you of the glider's reactions the quickest is not the instruments, it's the seat that is in the direct contact with your body. While getting a positive response and not wanting to lose it, I paid close attention while operating the controls.
上昇してる。うまくサーマルに乗れたみたいね。葵君、葵君は今手が離せない。あまねちゃん、うまくいってるみたいね。ああ、現在サーマルに乗って上昇中。高度500メートルに到達。おっしゃー。気流が荒れてるみたいですけど、上空はどうですか？かなり荒れているが、でも大丈夫だ。葵君が頑張ってくれてる。なんとか順調みたいね。そのまま雲の上まで行っちゃって。そうしたいのは山々だが。お？どうかしたんですか？もう少し上昇したらこのサーマルから離れる。え？どうして？リフトが弱くて上昇速度が遅い。これじゃ間に合わない。
We won't be able to rise any higher here. The G-forces that felt so strong at first were now getting weaker. We'd risen to a certain extent, but we were now just maintaining the current altitude. If we stay here like this, the thermal might grow, and we might be able to gain stronger lift. Well, if we think about the time, it's quite likely that'll happen. This is because thermals get bigger as the sunlight hits the Earth, which heats quicker than air. And with this level of heat, the air close to the ground warms up, causing thermals to occur. Since last night was so cool, when the morning sun hits the Earth, more and more strong thermals will start rising. But we don't have enough time for that. If we wait a little longer for the sun to come up completely, the morning glory will disappear. We're getting out of this thermal.
わかった。
As we look up to the morning glory in the distance, we flew out of the thermal.
だいぶ流されているな。
Thermals are often thought to extend straight up like a pillar through the air, but actually they don't go straight up. In the same way that smoke is blown by the wind, thermals twist when hit by wind from the side. While we were climbing in the thermal that was leaning to one side because of the wind, we moved further away from the morning glory. The morning glory doesn't just stay in one place. It is rotating as it rolls, moving across the lake. If it gets too far away, then we'll have no means of catching up with it other than falling to increase our propulsion, which makes things difficult. Increasing speed.